Hello everyone and welcome. I'm High C, and this is Toku-Rev, your introduction to Tokusatsu movie and TV shows to help you decide what you want to spend your time watching. This is going to be another first for Toku-Rev, where I actually review something that just finished. So come join me as I jump back into the Ultra series with Ultraman Geed.
Get over now, get over pain, get over the mind, jump up Jīdo, kakugo,
What's important to get out of the way first is that I am not an Ultraman veteran. I've seen a decent amount of the original 1960s Ultraman and Ultra 7, but I've only watched an episode here or there from other installments in the franchise, with the exception of Ultra 7X, which I did an episode of Toku-Rev on. So I am by no means an expert on Ultras, and this honestly made me a little hesitant to pick up the show. But if you are a longtime Ultraman fan, or at least someone who's watched Ultraman Orb and all of its subsequent movies, you'll know a little more details about the past, but it really isn't a barrier to stop you from watching Geed. So if you choose this to be your first Ultra show, you're good to go.
復活したウルトラマンベリアルにより宇宙は騒乱の渦中にあった。
The world struggling to recover after the crisis impact, an attack that resulted in a black hole starting on Earth and destroying the universe. All records of the Ultras, warriors from the land of light, have been erased, the tales of their existence slowly fading from the collective consciousness. Homes and businesses have been destroyed, with families being dislocated, commonly thought to have been caused by a meteor shower, until a shadowy image of Belial has been discovered, the cause of the crisis and previous antagonist. But the world is ready to rebuild, placing the past behind them until one day when a monster as tall as a skyscraper, Skull Gamora, shows up. But in a world where the warriors from the land of light have disappeared, who can fight back?
住民の皆様は速やかに避難行動を
Bringing in Riku Asakura, a 19-year-old who works at the Galaxy Market and is completely obsessed with Dawnshine, a tokusatsu superhero who inspires how he lives his life. Riku lives above his workplace in a small apartment. Abandoned as a baby, he doesn't have a traditional family. He was adopted by the store's owner after living with his childhood friend, Moa's family. Riku shares his apartment with his best friend, an alien Pegasa named Pega, who, like him, was abandoned as a child. Riku is kind but immature, often putting his desires in front of his responsibilities. He possesses unearthly attributes, like the ability to jump extremely high. While his family isn't traditional, it does provide a certain sense of security. That is, until the attack by Skull Gamora takes place, destroying where he works and his home. Riku is the type of character that can get on my nerves when delivered in the wrong way, but fortunately, he never crosses that line. I like protagonists to be likable and fun, but also serious. Riku walks that line perfectly. He's silly as hell, but it's always in a way that's packed with charm. He feels like a teenage boy. He'll push off work for fun, chance going hungry if it lets him buy one more Dawnshine thing to add to his collection. There are a few filler episodes that just show Riku being silly and bratty, and in most series, this would drive me crazy, having me biting at the bit for the episode to end. But in Geed, there's so much charm to these immature moments that I can't help but love his character. Because even with all the silly moments and catchphrases, Riku has depth to his character. He was abandoned, he cares and wants to fight, but doesn't feel like he has the strength. You see him struggle. For a silly character, he has really powerful human moments.
行くんだね。
僕はウルトラマンだから。
Narrowly escaping the attack by Skull Gamora, he's naturally hurt, scared, and angry. Angry that he can't protect those around him. But he pulls himself together, like his hero Dawnshine would, reminding him of his motto,
じーっとしててもどうにもならねえ。
He continues to try and find a new home, resting outside of the same observatory he was left abandoned as a baby. He meets a floating ball that starts speaking. This is Rem, a sentient computer brain that's been waiting for him. Transferring him into the command center, he learns of his origins. While he grew up on Earth, he's actually an Ultra. Like his hero Dawnshine, he has the power to fight back. He's introduced to his transformation device, the Ultra Riser. He's ready to take on the monsters of the world as Ultraman Geed.
Urutoraman Jīdo, Trinity!
The Ultra Riser comes with Ultra Capsules, containing the power of previous Ultras. Geed's base form is inaccessible to him, so he needs the power of the other Ultras to transform, combining the capsules for Ultraman, the original protagonist from the 1960s, and Belial, the cause behind the crisis impact. We are met with our basic transformed Ultraman, Ultraman Geed Primitive.
あの目の感じ、どこかで。
The design of Geed Primitive is perfect. Not knowing a lot about the current Ultra series doesn't detract from the heritage. The slimmer form of Ultraman and the terrifying eyes of Belial, combined with Geed's red, black, and blue color scheme, it's just a great costume. Throughout the show, Riku gets more Ultra capsules, ever expanding his inventory of forms and powers. His most notable powers from the primitive form are the Wrecking Ripper, red energy shots projected from his hands, and his grand finishing move, the Wrecking Burst, similar to Ultra 7's Wide Shot. Even with all these powers, Geed always feels like he's on an uphill climb to defeat his enemies. The fights have a lot of highs and lows to them, crashing into buildings and lakes, often with a down-and-out Geed when it comes to battles, playing into the show's strong drama elements, pushing Riku to reach deeper inside himself, remembering what and who he is fighting to protect.
ダメだ、みんなが危ない。今なんとかしないと。
放射エネルギーを放射しますか？
やり方は
すでに知っているはずです。
お前何言って。いや、頭に浮かんだ。
While smashing up buildings and bridges looks really cool for the audience, it's hell for the people on the ground whose homes you're seeing destroyed, bringing us to one of our support characters, Laya Toba, a highly skilled swordswoman who is always on the hunt for more information after losing her parents to a monster attack. Stumbling into Riku, they are both displaced and end up living together, complicating Riku's home life with a responsible female presence. Laya's character is strong and determined. She's serious without it ever falling onto the side of being a caricature. She's not Ryu from Kamen Rider W or Koga from Garo. She's not a heart attack of a cliche. She's a young girl traumatized by loss and channels it into her training. She wants justice, not vengeance. Laya is a counterbalance to Riku. She stands as a reminder to the audience the reality of what people lose when we watch buildings explode. But she can't help him when it comes to battles. All of her training can't compete when she's smaller than a monster's toenail. That job goes to Ultraman Zero, the son of Ultra 7. He previously battled and thought to have defeated Belial in the Crisis Impact. An injured Ultraman Zero comes to Earth and helps Riku fight an overpowered enemy, recognizing Geed's eyes as the eyes of Belial, letting the audience and Riku know that he's the son of Belial. Sustaining further injuries from the battle, Ultraman Zero is desperate to recover, making a pact with a salaryman who was a casualty of the battle. Lido, a husband, father, and dedicated company man, is unsure about his new responsibilities and sharing a consciousness with Ultraman Zero. Lido loves the idea of escaping his mundane life to help save the world, but can he balance both lives? This conflict between Lido and Zero sharing the same consciousness could be a show in its own right, but serves as a great sub-story inside of Geed. Throughout the show, you see Lido grow. As the audience, you become involved in his relationship with his wife and daughter, as the only main cast member who has to worry about maintaining a secret identity separate from his traditional life. Both Lido and Zero serve as a mentor for Riku, at first with resistance to Lido, as Riku and Lido have very different lifestyles in what boils down to the worst episode in all of Geed. But in time, Zero helps Riku come to terms with his heritage, and Lido helps remind Geed to know what he's fighting for. But how can these large monsters be back if Zero sealed away Belial?
レイト。はい。シュッ。
Lucky for Zero, the Earth already has the AIB looking into it. The AIB is the Alien Investigation Bureau. After the incidents of the Impact Crisis, the AIB was formed by several alien races in order to restore order to the universe, investigating illegal aliens who traffic restricted goods on Earth. And lucky for Riku and Zero, Riku's childhood friend and surrogate family member Moa is an agent. In fact, she's the first human agent in the history of the organization, showing an unflinching kindness to all life forms. She stands as an ambassador for humanity to her superior Xena. Xena is an alien shadow, a race that first appeared in the Ultra 7 series. Previously, he was the drill master for an invasion force, but has since abandoned his old ways, as he's come to understand the Earth and the value of life. He serves to protect us from the person he used to be. He communicates telepathically. You often hear his voice, but you never see him moving his mouth. Moa is a spastic character and wants to do good at her job, but doesn't always think with her head, getting her into trouble, causing her to feel Xena's disappointment, but Xena always sees Moa's potential, echoing the mentor relationship that Zero and Geed have. Moa is a lot like Riku. She could easily be Akiko from Kamen Rider W levels of annoying, and she has her moments that make me a little itchy. But just like Riku, she always has depth to offset her chibi moments. She gets jealous of Laia and sometimes comes off a little silly, but there's also a really human element about her feeling left behind and that she's the discarded friend. She's compassionate to a fault and stands to show Riku that brute strength isn't always the best way to defeat an enemy. Sometimes you have to use your heart. She doesn't have the physical training that Laia does, but she's just as strong in her own way. Moa helps Zero find out that Belial could return and repeat the Crisis Impact, but he can't be doing it alone. Bringing in our main antagonist and rival for Riku, Kei Fukaide. Kei is an alien Strum who is dedicated to resurrecting Belial. He's become a famous science fiction writer by penning The Wars of the Ultras, painting Zero as the villain and Belial as the hero. He's a good villain, and at his most diabolical, you feel both hate and love for him. He uses his position to enact his will, and at his most dramatic, he is sold so well to the audience. As most antagonists, his story is best left to watching the show. In the same ways that Riku is complex past his immaturity, Kei is complex past being evil for the sake of evil. He's compelling, and the show does well to not show you too much too soon.
構わないよ。これでいいかい。
That leads me into production. The production value is grade A. At the time of this recording, Geed is available on Crunchyroll.com, so please make sure to support its official release to encourage accessible distribution for future Toku series in high-quality streams. Geed has all of the things I love about Toku in its production, and almost none of the things I dislike. The use of character and monster composition to let the viewer feel the scale and threat, and the sets. Oh my god, the sets are easily my favorite part of watching the Ultra series. The miniature sets look amazing. Everything I love about Godzilla-style kaiju movies is here, and it's in your face. On-set explosions, crumbling buildings, creative monster designs. There are chroma key explosions and effects for sure, but there's never an offensive use of CG design. It's just an amazing example of all the craft that goes into shows like these. And at the top of every show, you get a title card that echoes back to the Ultra 7 series. You get the weight and history of the Ultra series without having to watch every installment. And unlike some series, the destruction of the environments plays a role into the show. Instead of just being a backdrop for giant monsters to fight each other and throw each other into buildings, you feel the weight of the destruction and the real-world inevitability of what happens when infrastructure is destroyed in large quantities. As I said with the characters' bios, the drama really walks the line between comedic and kid-friendly, making it a show that's more than guys in a rubber suit. The cast is just the right size. Throughout the 25 episodes, you really get a sense of who each character is, and you get to watch them change. It all just works, and the score is top-notch. I don't think I've had a shower in the last 2 months without at least singing the first couple bars of the theme song. This is Toku production done right. So do I recommend Geed? Well, I'm sure you could guess that after all the praise I just gave, obviously it's a yes. I was pretty worried when I wanted to start this series because I read in order to watch the show, I need to have seen XYZ or I won't understand what's going on. But that's not true, and honestly, that's one of the reasons I wanted to start Toku-Rev. When I first started watching Toku, the bodies of work just seemed so dense that I didn't know how to break into them. I wanted an introductory series to introduce me and let me know if I can jump in. And well, you might be missing the history of who Belial is and why he's a threat or what the crisis impact was. But the show treats him as a threat, so you know to fear him. I didn't need to know about Zero's past to find his conflict with Leto compelling. I don't think it even would have made it more exciting, so I never felt like I was at a loss for not watching Ultraman Orb. But what it did do is make me want to immediately start watching more Ultraman. So if you're new to Toku looking for your first watch, or a veteran of the Ultra series, you're safe to give Geed a chance. So go on and give it a watch. After all, sitting around doing nothing won't get you anywhere. So thank you again, everyone. I'm High C, and this has been Toku-Rev, your introduction to Tokusatsu TV and movies to help you find your next favorite show. If you found this useful, I welcome everyone to like, comment, and subscribe for more Toku introductions in 2018. Last month, I talked about the Takashi Miike film, Zebra Man. On the Geed spectrum, I encourage everyone to watch Nida Spears' Ultraman Geed abridged series, where I voice Ultraman Zero. Thank you, and see you next time.